Hello everyone, this is Captain Dave, Simple Plan Trucking, coming to you from Lake City, Florida, and I am here with my trainer Eric from Driver Lineup, and we're going to do a little recap today on my week 3 training. I've asked him if he'd just give me some of his insight or his opinion on how I'm doing or how I've done, and I've asked him just to be real open because I want to be transparent so that you guys can see what it's like to have a trainer-trainee relationship that's open and honest, and it's all in an effort to give me the best training that I can, so that in just hopefully another 6 weeks or so, I'm ready to roll out and do this on my own. Not only that, but I'm in a position where I need to probably be doing it better, faster than others at this stage, because in a very short time I'm going to be going back to Springfield to take the trainer class so that I can train my wife. So he wants me to know it really, really good when I go out on my own, so that I'm in a better position to train her down the road. So Eric, thanks for joining us today. And is there anything off the bat that you'd like to say about the first 3 weeks, how it's been generally speaking, and maybe what some of my biggest challenges and opportunities have been?
Challenges. Well, first of all, sorry if there's a hum. I know that some of his comments complain about audio. We're between two prime trucks that are both competing with their reefers, and I don't have a loud voice, so I'll try to speak loud. His first 3 weeks have gone really well, and he's right. I feel obligated to be pretty aggressive, I think, with a lot of the training, because he's going to be training in 2 months, and so it's not like with me or a lot of you drivers who've already been through this process, where we get kicked out of training and then we have 6 months to go mess up and figure things out ourselves, right? There's that growing period that you go through on your own, and his growing period is really only going to be maybe 3 weeks, because he has to go through a trainer class too. So he has to grow before the end of January, So, like, as an example, in his last video, he talked about logs, and I told him night before last night that I'm only really gonna remind kind of this week, and come January, if there's something forgotten, then it could be a citation, and that's just kind of making sure that we're not having a conversation at the end of January about what do I do with this, or how does the passenger rule work, or how does any of that work, because he's got to go right into a team truck a month later. But he's a fast learner, and yesterday and today he's aced his logs. Still had a couple questions here and there, but he knows that you always have to be changing something here based on what you're doing, and so there's, being that it's been only 3 weeks, and I'm bloviating here, but being that it's only been 3 weeks, I feel like he's picking up most of it really quick. And I think as long as we just kind of sit down and I say, hey, here's some things I see that you could improve on, here's where you're really strong, that's really all it takes.
And I'm trying to be receptive to that, and trying to be the perfect student, which there is no perfect student, but it's really kind of interesting how he gets a message across to me when he needs to, that's very subtle, but to me it hits me like a ton of bricks. To talk for just a minute about the logs thing, it was actually yesterday morning. I came out of the sleeper berth and sat down, and he's winding down from his shift, and I'm just getting cranked up to start mine, and the first thing he said was, okay, so I'm going to help you till the end of Christmas, but when you come back, I'm going to let you figure out the logs on your own. And before he said anything else, I could just tell something had been forgotten. And I had forgotten to log into the sleeper berth when I went to bed the night before. So it got my attention. It pulled me up short. And he wasn't mean about it. He wasn't rude about it. But in his own way, everybody's personality is different. He let me know, this is really important, and you need to get this straight, because you're gonna find yourself in trouble if you forget to do these things consistently. So I heard that message without him ever really having to say that, and I can't tell him. I tell him all the time how much I appreciate his approach and how he teaches. And we didn't really know each other very well at all before we came out here. We had a sense that we might do well together, but I couldn't be happier with where I am, as far as our relationship and how he's able to teach me and how I'm able to learn it. So yeah, logs is a big challenge for me. I mentioned that yesterday, and I think I have before too. Every time the truck stops and every time it starts, there's something that needs to be logged. You're either sleeping, going into sleeper berth, or you're going to be on duty or doing an inspection, or you're coming off duty. And if you forget to do those things, then you have to go back in and figure it all out and do a correction, correct the log. And you can, but every time you do that, it kind of looks bad for you. And if you start needing too many corrections, then the people at the office are going to start questioning you, and you might get yourself in trouble. So I'm learning with that. I appreciate that. It's been a big challenge, and we'll continue to get better as we move down the road. Another thing is learning how to use the engine brake in conjunction with my brake and acceleration and the cruise control. It really is an art to that, isn't it? I mean, how you do that and when to do that.
Yeah, I call that managing your drive. Because to me, there's, it's kind of like when you run a business, you have your accounting, you have, if you're in a lawn business, you got your lawn mowers, you got, your weed eaters. In the truck, there's all these different things that you're monitoring and controlling and changing and manipulating throughout the day. When you get a car, you put it in drive and you go. There's literally nothing else you do. You don't even really need to. In modern cars, you don't even really need to pay attention to your drive. In a truck, you've got everything. You have your gauges, you have your RPMs. It's not just changing the Jake brake, it's also making sure you're not going too high on your RPMs, blow your engine up, mess your transmission up. You're watching your mirrors. You may have, is there too much water on the ground to use the Jake brake? There's just so many variables that go into it. So, and I think one of the big things too is getting a feel for the truck. While you're learning all those little variables, also really a lot of what it comes down to is feeling the truck.
And so much of it's dependent on your load too, how heavy it is.
How heavy are you? How steep are the grades? Where's all the other traffic? Is are you going to need to be on the pedal more because there's vehicles up in front of you? And there's just so many things that go into it, and you've definitely really kind of gotten it. Now the Peterbilt is kind of a beautiful thing, because I think maybe in the beginning he was trying to make it a little too complex. Really, the Peterbilt does a lot of the work for you. You do have to, if you get out of cruise control, you do have to take it off. So there's a lot of manipulation like that, but you're not toggling. You can go up and down in the hills in a Peterbilt and just leave it on. But I feel like today, like there seemed to be a lot less of you changing things up with your hands than there would have been 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's becoming more second nature, natural. Yeah, I still have to think, and I know that sometimes, like, even when you come up and you get into an off ramp or you have to stop, you have to remember to turn that engine brake off, or otherwise your engine will start jerking when you start and stop. It'll tell you real quickly, but I don't always remember to do that. But I was laughing when you said that I was making it harder than I needed to. If Twisted Big D is watching this, I'm sure he's sitting there shaking his head, because he knows me well. I tend to do that. I overthink, or I say what if in my head way too much, instead of just listening to the instruction and doing what I'm told to do, and the rest of it kind of falls into place. So it's not hard, but it's a lot to coordinate, and it's a lot of new sensory information, things that you have to absorb and understand and think about all at the same time. And then he's been real good too about when we're going through cities that have that we travel regularly. As an example, Memphis, it has a couple places that have some real sharp curves that come up on you, and even if the sign says, the sign needs to be, you need to go 45 around the corner, from experience, he knows you better be going 25. So don't think you're always just going to be able to go 5 miles under the limit and that'll be okay. These are things that you learn along the way, but the more of them you experience with your trainer in TNT, the better off you'll be and the safer you'll be afterwards.
And yeah, in addition to that, just thinking about the load. So right now we have a meat load and all those pallets are short. So the truck handles a lot differently right now with those short, heavy pallets. Those pallets are, I think, about 1,400 pounds each, 1,500 pounds each, and they're pretty short. So thinking about curves and your jaking and all that stuff, you know, wet roads, I'm mentioning that for those of you coming to say that there's just so many variables that within 6 weeks, you know, you have to be able to process that whole algorithm. You have to process all those variables. But I think in 3 weeks, I'm very, I hope all my students go like this to be able to not have to teach the same thing over and over again. But I also say, on the flip side of that, to other people who are thinking about training, this has taught me, I think a lot of trainers forget what it was like to go 0 to 100, you know, of no knowledge of running a truck to suddenly having to be able to manage the entire truck yourself while the person who knows what they're doing is asleep in just a couple weeks. I think a lot of trainers, like with the logs, it's my instinct to want to manage his logs. And to an extent, you have to be there and be involved in that. But
let me make mistakes.
You gotta let them make mistakes, and that's the best way to learn. And kind of be there and guiding along with that. But just, you know, I throughout this whole process, I remember my first 3 weeks of TNT and how quickly you have to learn, how much you have to learn so quickly. And like he said, it's not hard. It's just you got to understand it all. But he's doing really well. I mean, like even tandems. A lot of people really struggle with tandems. He got that concept like right away, which is amazing because I've seen so many struggles in training with trying to fit. In fact, there's drivers who've been driving for 6 months or a year that'll come into Discord and say, guys, which way do I move the tandems? You know, so it just picks up a lot of things really quick, and it's been there's still a lot of things to learn.
For those of you that don't know, just real quickly, moving the tandems helps you to redistribute the load. So the trailer can move back and forth over the axles or the tandems, and if you have a real heavy load or one that goes way to the back and overextends over the back tandem, you know, you would want to move one way or another to get the load distributed evenly over the steer tires or the tractor, and then the load on the back, which is the trailer.
Yeah, you're allowed 34,000 pounds on your drive tires, which are the truck tires, and your 34,000 on the trailer tires, both axles on a trailer. So you gotta. It takes a lot to get you to adjust to that, because in a lot of cases when you're in shippers and receivers, you don't know. They haven't given you the bills until you leave. So you have to figure out by looking at your gauge weights on the truck and the trailer how to get legal in a lot of cases before you even know how much weight is actually in the trailer. But you can figure that out based on your two gauges, you know, pushing those tandems forward and back. Anyway, a lot of you are probably lost already.
Yeah, that's
My point
okay.
is, he got that really quick, you know. So that's. But there's still a lot to learn. You know, we need to experience a lot. Different kind of shippers. He needs to experience some big mountains like coming out of Flagstaff, or, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. And we're going to do that in January. But I would say with the progress we've made in just under 3 weeks, or has it been 3?
Well, we left Thanksgiving Day, so it's been 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Finished 3 weeks, yeah.
I would say it's a pretty monumental amount of data that he's downloaded and properly processed in 3 weeks. So it's going well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I wasn't fishing. I asked him to be absolutely honest, and I want you to hear what it's like. And the only thing I'd say to that is, it may sound like, wow, that's a lot, or you might be scared, or you might think I might not be able to do that. But let me reassure you, you can. I'm no rocket scientist. I think the most important thing is that you come with a great attitude and come with the mind of a student, and understand that no matter who your trainer is, no matter what you may think of them or their personality or who you may get matched up with, they know infinitely more about trucking than you do. You're an infant and you don't know anything, but be like a sponge. Take in what you can, take in the good stuff. If any bad stuff comes along with that, let it roll off your shoulders, because PSD and TNT is only for a short amount of time, and the benefit and the reward that you're going to have on the other side in a very lucrative trucking career is well worth the time that you put into this. So we've got another 3 or 4 days, then we'll be headed back to Springfield, and then I'm going to jump in my car and go down to Florida for Christmas with my wife. He's going to spend Christmas with his wife Jenna in Springfield, and then I think January 2nd we're going to come back to Springfield and hit it hard.
Go to California.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to reporting to you guys that hasn't changed, and I still hate it. But it's a necessary evil.
And I'm looking forward to it because I haven't been there. I also had on my bucket list for TNT that if we're able to visit all 3 of the terminals. I'm pretty familiar with Springfield now. I'd love to get by and see Salt Lake City, and also Pittston, Pennsylvania, if we're out that direction. So he's got that in the back of his mind, and he's always thinking and saying, well, maybe we could go up here, or maybe we could go up to Vermont. I said, oh, Vermont, I've never been there. That'd be cool. He's looking at it from a different perspective than I am, but these are all places that I haven't been, so it's new and exciting, and that's what I said. It's all an attitude, and the attitude that you have. People can choose to say, oh, I miss my wife, I miss my husband, this is terrible, it's going so bad, it's so wrong. Look at the positive things that are happening. There is a lot of positive. So that's really all I have right now. Is there anything else you'd want to throw out, or any? We'll be doing holiday greetings, wishes later, I'm sure, as we get closer to Christmas. And I want to thank Eric for taking the time to do this with me today. Not only is he a fantastic trainer, but just the exposure that he's given to me by helping me get my YouTube channel up and running. He and Jenna just have been fantastic to Brooke and I can't be more thankful for that. So we're going to get off of here now. I want you guys to remember to be safe out there. The holidays are coming up. Be good to each other, take care of each other, and always try to do a little bit more than you're looking for. This is David with Simple Plan Trucking. We'll be talking with you later. Bye.